Hello, and welcome back to my channel. We've got another game for you here today. This is Effort versus Rush. I'm super excited. I finally found where Effort is on the ladder, so I'm stealing a lot of his replays. Before we get into this game, go to tastelessthreads.com. Look at this. This is a $100 tasteless bill. That's me on the shirt. Let me see if I can do the face, right? Is it this way? See? Isn't that cool? We got a lot of cool stuff like that there on that site, so please check it out. We are going to go into this game. It's on Vermeer. If you like this kind of content, do please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. That helps me out quite a bit. And now we go into our game. So we have Effort here in the top left and Rush down here in the bottom right. So cross spawns on this map. And I'm really looking forward to seeing these two guys interact, because both these players have been playing extremely well. If you've been following ASL this season, it's been really exciting to see how well Effort has done. This is a player that I think some of the people that followed StarCraft 1 that came from StarCraft 2 might not be as familiar with the lore. I mean, one thing about StarCraft is that there's just so much history, which is a lot to take on, but that's also why we love it, right? It's not just about the great games that the game produces, but it's also about the stories that get told inside of the tournaments and the game itself. And Effort was basically number 2 to Jaedong. This guy was so good, so scary, and did come back briefly in the early ASL days, played pretty well, but he really does seem to be in tip-top form right now. Now, as for Rush, this guy really didn't get his heyday until Remastered came out and the years that followed after that. He was somebody, I mean, the truth is, anybody that you see that's competing was probably a pro at some point in time, but just not one of the ones that you saw. Some of these pro teams, they would have like 15, 17, even 20 players on a team, and maybe only about 5 or 6 were famous, and then the other ones were, they were basically there to train with the top players and help them lab out stuff, and Rush was certainly one of those players. And those players that were very forgettable back then, some of them stuck with it and kept playing. And now Rush is basically one of the 4 or 5 great Terrans that we have in the modern era. I mean, he's really filled in for the shoes of, especially with Flash not competing right now. This guy's really come out and had an amazing performance. So this is going to be a fun match to see with these two as far as how exactly this pans out and what kind of game we're going to have. We do have the SCV scouting over here towards the upper right. Looks like the Overlord, I think. Oh, I'm not fast enough. I believe the Overlord actually saw that, and so he's going to turn. And with the SCV seeing the Overlord here, he'll know exactly where the Zerg is. In this game, we have a pretty common opener. It's very popular in the current meta. Basically, you get a wall in right down here and expand behind it. One thing to note is that this does lose to 4-pool. But the truth is, how often are people going to 4-pool? And if you 4-pool and it's any other build, then you're probably just not going to win. So in this case, I think this is going to be a nice little edge here for Rush to start things off. He does move the Marines out here. This can be confusing, I'm sure, for some of you, where you're like, why would you make a wall in over here and then you don't hide behind it? Why would you come out over here? Well, the drone that scouted, it never saw the command center. And so it's always possible there's a second barracks here and there's going to be some kind of weird rush. That's another little tricky thing that Terrans can do to try to end the game right away. We actually saw C do that earlier this year in an ASL. It did backfire, but it is, a little trick up Terran's sleeve if they want to do it. And so he just wants to try to create some ambiguity. The reality is Rush is, in fact, just going to try to take he just is going to take an expansion here. Now, back over here, we have the Zerglings chasing this SCV. And, one thing about a map this big is sometimes you can just run around the Zerg. So these 4 Marines are going to come up and, look, I don't see a sunken colony here. And, in fact, this drone is bumping into the other drones just trying to get this made. But it doesn't matter. The Marines are going to be turning around and heading back home. Inside the Terran's base, we see the Academy just starts. The eBay is about 80% complete. Getting an eBay this early is a signal that we're going to have a pretty upgrade-intensive game. We're going to have a game where the action might be slow to pick up, but when it does pick up, the Zerg better be ready. The third hatchery for the Zerg is being placed over here. One of the reasons why you see this placed here and not like here or even here is because, you know, unlike StarCraft 2, there's not a lot of ways to spread creep for Zerg unless you make creep tumors, which are basically just pre-sunken colonies, pre-spore colonies most of the time. Putting the hatchery here allows you to maybe lay down late-game tech in a spot where Terran will at least have to spend one more scan to see what's going on here. And I know, look, I mean, you know, for people that are watching, I know some of you guys have, like, literally been playing StarCraft your whole lives. This stuff is obvious. For other people, they just don't know. So I'm always trying to throw out these little nuggets of information to see, you know, what can help people learn. The Lings are going to stay out and basically confirm that no one's left the base just yet. Now, remember, I mean, what Rush is doing is, you know, one of your core bread and butter StarCraft 1 builds. But, you know, Refer doesn't know exactly what's happening over here yet. I think seeing the medic and the Marines makes you pretty confident that, you know, you're going to be dealing with your classic TVZ of Bio versus Ling, Lurker, Muta. So a scan comes down here, +1 attack. I guess everybody just gets +1 attack always, it seems like, in this matchup. I should probably check with a top Zerger. Maybe if there's any Zergs that are watching the video or in the Twitch chat right now could let me know. Is this just like what you do? Do you just always get +1 air attack? I didn't feel like this was a thing back when I was casting in the old days, in the Golem TV days. Or maybe I just missed it. Sometimes it's so hard to absorb all this information. But yeah, I mean, the mutas are going to start to roam here. Unsurprisingly, the turret timing is basically perfect. These turrets are going to finish like as the Mutalisks arrive over here. He's now moved this, whoops, we have the infantry coming out on the map. So he's looking for stray targets. When you see the mutas bunched up like this, one of the great things about it is that it's hard to have any one Mutalisk get targeted. It does seem like the damage distributes pretty evenly. So, you know, one Muta gets hit, but is that going to be the next Mutalisk that's going to be targeted when they come back in? Probably not. So it's this organic way that damage can get distributed when you bunch them up like that. For now, we don't have a push, but we do have the third hatchery. And in cross spawns, you know, either one of the mains is an acceptable location to expand to. You can also expand to like this location here if you want. But it's not easy for the Terran to suss out where that base is going to be and if they can push it. So we're probably going to see a lot of scans thrown down as the Terran's trying to figure out what base is taken and what kind of game we're going to have here. The Mutalisks get chased out. We have Lurker tech coming along here. When you see no medic and just a small number of Marines, that's when it's probably okay to start to use the damage to just kind of spray them down. If you can never get the Marines in kind of a line like this, that's when you want to, as the Mutalisks hit the end of that line and let the glaives carry the damage through. More Lings coming through. No Sunks morphed back over here. That air attack upgrade is almost done. I'm wondering if this drone is supposed to be a building. Yes, it is. That's going to be the Queen's Nest. And look, I mean, this is a game we're casting. I feel like we've all seen many times before. Is it Control U that blocks this? There we go. It's just going to be one of these games where, you know, the Terran is trying to muster the proper army to come out and push and do some damage. And the Zerg is basically going to be rushing into a hive to get the Defiler Mound, to tech into the Consume upgrade on the Zerglings so that you can get the Dark Swarms out ad infinitum. And, oh, hold on, he's going to try to run by. Well, you know, the Lings got a little bit jammed up going up the ramp. And so, obviously, the Zerglings are probably the most expendable thing you could have in a game like this, but it is still a good idea to try to buy time. So, we've got an army moving northbound up here, and if I just scroll all the way to the top, we have the 3 Lurkers that are going to come. I mean, really, every part of this game is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, so standard. This is like the E4 game of StarCraft, if you want to use a chess reference. Like, we've seen this so many times before. Little technique here, by the way. There's actually 2 lurkers here, so this can look like there's just these 2, but there's actually 3. There's 2 stacked here. And so this is a little trick where, like, as you're running up the ramp, if you had a ton of infantry, you might say, oh, well, I think I could barely break that, when in fact, you would end up being completely killed off. And so most good Terrans know to just not even bother when they see the lurkers broed there. Meanwhile, the push is going to seesaw over to the other side of the map. There are lurkers out here. You got to be careful, man. 3 is not a lot, especially in the open like this. And so 2 lurkers go down. Dude, he doesn't actually have that much. I mean, I think he could probably scan and stim right in here. The question is, oh, I hear this stim. Beautifully done. He gets the lurker. Oh, he gets it sunk. The lurkers are done. Oh my God, they're dancing on top of each other. Well, one goes down, another scan gets it, and that one goes down, vaporized. Oh, I don't know if Effort can survive this. The mutas are going to come up. The lurker is still in the game, 7 HP, doing some work. Oh my God, he's going to kill every single muta. Okay, so the Terran is stopped, but at what cost? What is going on over here? So that's insane. I actually thought we were about to have GG there. That was crazy. Instead, this game's going to go on consume. This is not a very quick upgrade, but it's going to slowly build its way into this game. Back at home for the Terran. Double starport science vessel is out. The factory has been lifted. We are not going to have any tanks in this game. Instead, we're going to have a 3rd command center laid down here. I think out of all the matchups, this is this fair to say? I'm just thinking out loud. Terran versus Zerg, Terran, out of all the matchups in the game, they get to have the least number of bases through the whole game. Is that correct? Maybe not. But you could stay on 2 base for a really long time. A little counterattack over here that I almost missed. But with the bunker here, I think this is actually going to backfire, because now this is just a position you can easily surround. I do like the fact that Effort even puts his lings right on top of the lurkers, so it's just a little bit harder to target. Yeah, chat, you're completely right. He is buying time for consume, which, by the way, is it's done. So there is no upgrade that is more transformative in any matchup than consume is in, Zerg versus Terran. I mean, being able to just cast Dark Swarm infinitely is crazy. Okay, the Overlord goes down. And at this point in time, he's really more interested in just trying to clear the map. And so I actually didn't realize that Overlords cannot hide over this area here. I thought they could be perfectly placed right here, but I guess not. And so this generates a lot of ambiguity on the map. Like, where is Terran? How am I going to be attacked? By the way, Effort doesn't have a 4th base. So it's 3 base versus 3 base. Honestly, dude, oh, look at this. See the Overlord over the lurkers. I love this trick. There's actually 4 lurkers under here, by the way. Oh, I tried to zoom out. I almost crashed into the ground there. So he irradiates that one Overlord. Keep in mind the broad lurkers can't take damage. They're underground, so the irradiate won't affect them. He puts another Overlord on top. And Rush isn't so sure about diving in. Instead, he's just going to keep powering up. He knows that as long as there's a Marine here, an SCV here, he sees there's no 4th base. And with only 3 gases, because you have 3 bases, you really can't do a whole lot. Uh-oh. Look at this. There's actually a drone. This is like the big theme of this event. Oh, my God. Hold on. Does he burn through it all? This fire bat is crazy. He dematrixes it again. There's one lurker. That's going to go down. Oh, my God. Is this game over? Oh, go to the Dark Swarm. The fire bat from out. That's it. GG. Rush actually beats Effort. What a hell of a game, man. That was crazy. Let me go back just a second here. Let me see if we can capture this last moment. This was crazy. By the way, this just seems to be like a whole theme of this entire cast here. Is putting the something on top of the lurkers, whether it's a lurker burrowed on top of another lurker, or an overlord, or a drone, or down here during that fight we had a zergling on top of the lurker. So he gives up on this position, which is smart. I think most other Terrans in the world would just say it's probably 2 lurkers I can do it. It's actually 4. But it's the fire bats that come up that save the day. I see a question in the chat. What is defensive matrix? Just think of it as like you get a whole bunch of extra hit points they have to burn through. And so these fire bats come in here and just nuke this spot over here. And you can see the Dark Swarm comes down, but 3 fire bats are going to completely cut down all those zerglings. Crazy stuff. And of course the last lurker falls. And there it is. There's no way to recover from that. So thank you so much for watching that the cast I did. I am going to be putting out 1 cast every day, I guess forever. So if you like this kind of content, do subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment what you thought about that game. Go to tastelessthreads.com. This is a tasteless $100 bill. If you don't like that, there's a whole bunch of other great stuff you can check out that I think you'll enjoy. And do feel free to join me on my Twitch stream, Tasteless TV on Twitch, where I cast these games live. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.